everybody. This is Angela, and you're listening to 5 Picks and a Chick featuring El Gato. This is the show that gives you 5 NFL picks for people who love football and friendly wagering. Hey, El Gato, week 2, done.
Week 2 is done. Here we are, week 3. It came up quick, didn't it?
Yep, it sure did. Last week I went 3-2, and you were 2-3. So far for the season, I am 5-5, and you are 6-4. That's 6 wins, 4 losses. So you are above 500.
I'll take it. You're right at the 500 mark, and both of us had some really close non-covers last week. I know we discussed them pregame before we came on the air, but that's the football. Texans having some fumble issues, getting ready to score the football, and I think you mentioned your Eagles. I don't know if you had them as a pick, but maybe you had them some other action. And I look at Bills and Dolphins. You covered that one probably in the second quarter. I had the over, and neither team could score the football with midway through the third quarter after Tua got injured. But that's the way the ball bounces sometimes, and you can cover on close games, and sometimes you cannot cover when you think you have it covered, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, there was some crazy games last week. It's the teams that at the beginning of the season that you thought, oh man, they're going to be strong, they're going to be really good, are struggling. And we
Ravens.
Yeah. 0-2.
Man, 0-2, and Jackson just gave. I mean, I know it's not totally his fault, but he is the quarterback. He is the MVP of the league from last year, I believe, and for them to give up a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and he not able to execute or perform in that fourth quarter.
Yeah,
they've got some problems.
Some problems. Big problems. And then the Chiefs almost lost. So some of these powerhouses, they just are, struggling. And we've got
Cowboys.
Yeah, well, they're always a struggle.
Cowboys at home, everyone got on that hype train.
Yeah.
When they thoroughly handled the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, and Dak getting his new contract, and CD getting his new contract, and everything was good and moving forward, and then they get run in their own backyard.
Yeah, I'm a true blue Cowboy fan. Will be win or lose, but it just is so disappointing.
Yeah, it is.
So disappointing. But anyway, my first pick this week is going to be Vikings plus 2.5 versus the Texans. I've got the Vikings bandwagon these first 2 games. So the Vikings are actually one of the surprise teams that are doing fairly well. They've covered both of their games fairly easily. Both of these teams come into this game 2-0. Both quarterbacks are playing extremely well, but Vikings are playing as I think a complete, well-rounded team. Their defense is really playing well. Both of these teams, I think they're great teams. I'm a big Stroud fan. I'm a big DeMeco Ryans fan, but I'm going to lean towards the Vikings. They're at home, and I think they have just been playing very well-rounded team. So give me the Vikings getting 2.5. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, yeah, you're right. The Vikings have, for the early part of the season, 2 games in, going into week 3, they are playing well. I mean, they beat the 49ers. The team expected to win the NFC or challenge for it. They handled San Francisco pretty well at home. They're 2-0. Texans are 2-0. They had an impressive win on the road at the Colts, and then they kind of struggled. At least in my view, they struggled against the Bears and a rookie quarterback. But that's the way the NFL is. You got to be ready to play. They're still, to me, they're having the Texans. I'm speaking of, they're having problems. It appears to be scoring, at least with the Bears, in the red zone. Of course, Mixon was out a good chunk of that game, or they wouldn't let him back in because of that nasty ankle injury he got. That kind of slowed their running game down, but still, you would think Stroud would have really taken advantage of that Bears defense. But Bears played solid. They're both 2-0. Texans are going to have to really play well to come out with a victory. But what I'm going to do on this one, Angela, I'm going to go with the under, only because I think this is going to be a really tight game. To your point, defenses are playing solid. At 46.5, I think I'm thinking of a 20-24 game. So I'm going to stick with the under on this one. I think it's going to be a very physical game. Both teams are going to try to get after the quarterback. I know the Vikings defense got to Purdy about 5 or 6 times, but the 49ers also got to Darnold and forced him to do a couple of fumbles. And I expect the Texans to try to strip sack the Vikings quarterback as well. I'm hoping to see a really good defensive battle on this one so they can stay under the 46.5.
Well, my second pick is going to be the Steelers -1.5 versus the Chargers. Steelers are 2-0. This is another surprise team. They're 2-0, and they have yet to play a home game until this week. So they will be at home. JJ Watt and the defense on the Steelers are playing lights out. Chargers had an easy time last week against the Panthers. Steelers, I think, have a better defense. Chargers may have a better offense than the Steelers. And can you believe, I'm still going with the Steelers, but can you believe the Steelers are 2-0 and they have only scored 1 touchdown in the first 2 games?
I know, that's
That's
crazy.
crazy, right?
Crazy
So,
stat.
yeah. But, I think the offense will get back on track under Fields. I know they haven't really said if it's going to be Fields or Wilson, but how can you change quarterbacks if Fields is doing well? So I'm going to say it's going to be under Fields. No more field goals. It'll be touchdowns. So give me the Steelers -1.5. What are your thoughts on this game?
You raised some good points on the Steelers. To your point, that defense is solid and playing well. And Fields is managing the game, fairly well. He's not doing a whole bunch of turnovers. He's scrambling when he needs to. He's got a run-heavy running back in Harris, done pretty well getting the third down conversions, and he's got a nice little target in Pickens that he's able to throw to either deep or across the middle to extend drives as well. But you know what? On this one, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'm going to stick with, like you said, the better quarterback, the better offense. Does offense beat defense? I mean, who knows? And will the Chargers have problems in Pittsburgh? Probably. But I'm going to go with Herbert, who's been throwing the ball really well, hitting his targets. They've got a really nice, solid run game in Dobbins. At getting 1.5 points at the Steelers. I'm gonna roll with Harbaugh and Herbert and the Chargers on this one, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, my third pick is going to be Lions -3 at Arizona. Lions are lucky to be 1-1 after 2 close home games. The Lions will bring the Cards back down to earth after an almost perfect game that the Cards had against the Rams. And think that was a blowout game. Short spread of 3 points, but Lions have a bigger advantage and a better team than what the line indicates. So I'm taking the Lions -3 at Arizona. What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna go with you on this one. Lions at -3. I mean, they had a really tough game at home with Tampa. Goff uncharacteristically throwing 2 or 3 picks. He normally doesn't do that. He usually manages the game really well. And but Tampa came in with a strong defense, and the Lions hit a buzzsaw. And then you're right about Arizona. They really manhandled the Rams. I thought the Rams would show up better. I think we both picked them last week, but Arizona just took it to them from the start. Rams could never get anything started. I think the key to this game for the Lions, to cover and win, of course, is to contain Murray and his scrambling abilities. They can do that. I think with Lions front four going in there and punishing Murray when they can. And then the Lions offense, going run heavy with their two dynamic backs, especially Gibbs. They got to get Gibbs involved a little bit more, I'm thinking, in the short pass game and the check down pass game. And even giving him the ball, he runs pretty physical for being a more slender running back. But the Lions can do those things. I think they can cover pretty easily. So I'm going to take the Lions at -3.
All right. Do you have a fourth pick for us?
I do. I have a pick Denver at Tampa. Of course, Tampa is going to be at -6.5. I'm going to go with Tampa at -6.5. Denver 0-2. They're really struggling at the quarterback spot with that rookie Nix. Physically, he can make the throws. He's just having problems, reading defenses that are getting them confused, and he's throwing, picks in the red zone, and he's throwing off schedule, and they've got some problems there at Denver. But I think that he's going to be okay eventually. But Tampa's going to come with I think different defensive packages, blitz them like other teams have been doing. I'm talking about the Tampa defense blitzing Nix, the rookie quarterback. Tampa having an impressive victory at the Lions that we just spoke about. I think they continue the winning trend. I think they'll win the game. I think they'll cover at -6.5. And Baker, I mean, all he needs to do is just be efficient in managing the game. He doesn't have to overwhelm offensively. He just needs to hit his targets, check down when he needs to, and scramble at the appropriate times. And I think they'll come out with a good, solid cover on this. I'm expecting about a 10-point win on this one. So what do you think?
Well, on this one, I'm going to go with the over 40. I'm looking for an offensive game on both teams. Both teams did struggle last week against good defenses, but these are going to be different defenses in this game. Tampa comes back home where week 1, they scored 37 points against their opponent. These teams should easily put up 20 points each. I'm hoping to go over. Mayfield is going to have a good game, getting some of those touchdowns. So give me the over.
I like that. Over 40. I want to think about that one as well.
Yeah.
maybe buy it down to 39.5, right?
Yeah. So do you have a fifth pick for us?
Yeah, I have one more pick here. It's the Miami Dolphins at Seattle, and Seattle is -4.5. And I'm going to go with Seattle at -4.5. They're 2-0. Miami's 1-1. Miami is going to be minus several players, especially 2 at the quarterback spot. I think, at least as of today, correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, he's still ruled out. Am I right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be Skylar Thompson.
Okay, Skylar Thompson is in. The Miami offensive line is going to be missing about 2 starters, and then another one is questionable. And they're having problems protecting the quarterback. I mean, you see Tua, although he has a quick release and able to get the ball out. I mean, the last couple of games, he's been, I guess, struggling. It appears to me he's been hurrying his throws a little bit more. We saw during the Bills game how he was missing his targets through 2 or 3 interceptions that first half. At one point I thought he was, giving the game away. I know that's just silliness, but still, I mean, he wasn't playing the way he was supposed to. And I think he was just being the clock was ticking a little bit quicker in his head to get the ball out, which was causing those overthrows and those turnovers. So Miami's got some problems on the offensive line, and then having Skylar Thompson to start, I think the Seattle defense is gonna go run defense real heavy and force Skylar to make some plays. And I don't think he's going to be able to make them. Seattle has a good passing game. They can spread out the defenses. They're able to hit their checkdowns. Their running game is not as good as it should be, but at -4.5 at home, playing with a struggling, injured Miami Dolphins team without their leader in quarterback Tua, I'm going to go with Seattle on this one. This may fire up the Dolphins, but they may play well the first quarter, quarter and a half until that adrenaline rush wears out, and then it's finally time to play some solid football. And I don't think Skylar Thompson will be able to perform through the next three quarters to cover that 4.5. So I'm going to go with Seattle at 4.5, minus 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you as well, taking the Seahawks minus 4.5. Miami has not played well in their first two games, which both were at home. Now they're on the road against a good Seattle team. They're playing very well. They're 2-0, and they're without Tua, as you mentioned. It's going to be Skylar Thompson under center. Seattle squeaked an OT win in New England. I know that, but now they're back home in the 12th man stadium. So I think they will do much better. Seattle offense is really looking good under Geno Smith. I think Seattle's going to go 3-0. But I wanted to go back to what you mentioned about Tua. You know how you mentioned that it seemed as if he was releasing the ball too early, or there was just something, not the rhythm was not right. And I wonder, do you think he was releasing the ball too early? I mean, of course, to avoid getting hit, but look what happened. I think that hit he took really was not a very hard hit as some of these players take, and yet it affected him so strongly.
Yeah, I think the Bills got in his head. Once those first two turnovers happened, and not being able to move the football as efficiently as he's accustomed to doing, releasing the ball quick, hitting Tyreek Hill, hitting his other receivers, hitting the check down. He looked like he was pressing. The clock in his head, his drop back steps. I don't know, something was up. You normally don't see a good, efficient quarterback perform that well. Yeah, they have bad days, they have bad nights, but this was kind of unusual. And you always think, well, am I going to get sacked? Am I going to get,
Yeah.
dragged to the ground? Am I going to, hit my head? You wonder all these things. As a professional athlete, right? He's been through two or three severe concussions already. Now he gets another one on a, like you say, on a not so very solid hit. You often wonder where his head is now.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder that because of him releasing the ball so quickly, it makes me wonder, and I know we can all just speculate, but it makes me wonder if maybe, when they're in practice, maybe he was taking some hits and he felt something not right, but just didn't report it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We can speculate all we want. Who knows? But I just wish the guy well. I like Tua. He's a good quarterback, but man, it might be time for him to retire. Save the brain.
Right, save the. I mean, let me go back just real quick, Andrew. You raised a good point on the Dolphins struggling offensively. Even in game one with
Yeah.
Tua, game one healthy, they had problems scoring the football. Game two against the Bills with Tua through 3.5 quarters, they struggled scoring the football. Are they going to be able to do it with Skyler?
Yeah. I don't think so.
I don't think so. And then with a makeshift offensive line that they're going to throw out on Sunday against Seattle at Seattle.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if Miami performs well. If they perform well, then obviously something is wrong with Seattle, right? I can
Well,
always blame Seattle, but I don't. I expect Seattle to really handle this game pretty easily.
yeah, I think their fans are going to be loud like they always are. And so I think it's going to make a big difference, given that Tua is not playing and that the Dolphins have been struggling even with Tua, and Geno Smith looks really good.
He
So,
does. Gino,
yeah,
amazing. He's made this is maybe his third comeback of his career, and he's taken full advantage of it.
I hope he does well. He continues to do well.
Yeah.
All right, Elgato, any final thoughts?
we're week 3 already in the NFL season, and this is when some teams are going to either go 0-3 or get on the winning side of the ledger and stay in the hunt. Teams that go 0-3 or 1-2 are going to start to struggle the rest of the year. So we'll see which teams play with urgency and squeak out a victory when they're not expected to, and we'll see if the favorites can can pull out a victory when they should. See what happens. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, makes it a lot of fun. And don't forget, Monday we got 2 games to watch. So first one is at 6 p.m. Central Time.
Who's on the ledger? I forget.
It's going to be Jackson and Buffalo, and then Washington and Cincinnati.
Oh, that's another team, Angela. That is, I mean, they lose to the Patriots week 1. They lose a heartbreaker on a 4th and 16. All they have to do is make one stop, and they lose that game to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Bengals played really well. They should have won that game, even probably by more points than how close it was. They should have won by 7, I think.
They always play the Chiefs very well. And
Yeah.
again, it's surprising they're 0-2. Ravens are 0-2. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting football season, as they
Yep.
always are.
Love it.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, if you've made it to this point in our podcast, we just want to thank you for listening. Be sure to tell your friends about us. Also, hit the subscribe and like button on our YouTube channel at 5 Picks and a Chick. We also have a TikTok page, 5 Picks and a Chick. You can also find us wherever you get your favorite podcast. As always, thank you to El Gato for being part of 5 Picks and a Chick. 1, 2, 3, bet.
All right.